Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another reading vlog. First of all, please excuse the mess that is going on behind me. I'm currently transferring some video files onto my hard drive because I'm trying to keep my SD cards free of all video files, and I'm trying to keep them organised if I don't get to editing them straight away because my holiday is next month and I am the most unorganised person ever when it comes to YouTube and video editing, and yeah, I'm just the worst. Also, if you hear any little snorts, it's because my dog is sleeping. As per usual. I feel like this is a very common occurrence on my channel. I think everyone's used to it by now, but if you're new here, hello, welcome. This is my snoring dog Chewy. So, as you can tell by the title, today is going to be a reading vlog. However, it is going to be a series reading vlog. So I don't actually know the duration that I'm going to film this video during. I'm not going to do like a week vlog because I'm not going to be able to read these books in a week. There's just no way because I'm such a slow reader. I am going to finish a series and just do like a series reading vlog, and that series is the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. Now, backstory, I started reading the first book yesterday, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty, and when I went on Goodreads to mark it as currently reading, I switched the edition. So basically on Goodreads, what I usually do is I'll click on a book and then I'll switch it to the Kindle edition or like some sort of Kindle edition, because that kind of reflects a little bit closer to the page count that I have, because sometimes the physical books have more pages than the Kindle books do. And when I went to do that, it came up with a warning and I was like, why is it giving me a warning? So I switched the edition, and then when I went onto the books page, it said that I had already read it. And I was so confused because I do not for the life of me remember reading this book. And I am going to have to go back on my channel now. I've got like a bunch of videos that I privated because at one point I said I wasn't embarrassed to have them up, and I like unprivated them for a while, and then I privated them again because low-key they are embarrassing. Like, why did anyone watch me? Gross. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and actually see what video I mentioned this book in, because I genuinely have no recollection. I have read a lot of books so far in my lifetime, and I can usually remember the covers of books, but this one I just don't remember. I remember having the physical copy, but I genuinely thought I'd just unhauled it and that I'd never read it, but apparently I did. Now, I didn't give it a star rating, but I did give it a review, and the review said, I cannot recommend this book enough. So I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm currently 11% in, and I'll tell you what this book is about. So it follows this girl named Belly, which can someone clarify for me? Now, I understand that she must be called Belly and that Belly is her name, but where does the name Belly come from? Because that's not a very common name as far as I'm aware. Like, does it have an origin, like an origin country or something like that? Because I've never heard anyone called Belly, and I just need to know. And I've googled it and Google doesn't really give me much information. I genuinely thought it was a nickname, but apparently not. So anyway, it follows this girl named Belly, and I don't know how old she is. Because this is a young adult book, I'm gonna assume that she's like 16. And every single summer she spends her summer at this beach house, which is owned by her mum's best friend, and her brother and her mum all travel to this beach house and they spend the summer there along with her mum's best friend and also her mum's best friend's two sons, who are named Jeremiah and Conrad. Now, the whole gist of this book is that it is a young adult romance, and essentially there is a little bit of a love triangle that I'm guessing is going to happen. Obviously, I have no recollection of reading this book, so I literally have no idea what is going on in the House Commons. I will just have to find out as I go along, as if I'm reading a completely new book, which is astounding because this is the first time this has ever happened to me. Anyway, what is different about this particular summer that Belly spends at this summer house is that upon arrival, everyone notices like this kind of change in her, and she's kind of like, I'm the same person, like I don't know what's happened, like I literally just got contacts. And I'm guessing it's just a glow up. She has obviously grown into herself a lot more. Obviously maybe she's got some confidence, but either way, the two boys and also the two boys' mother kind of notices the difference in her and realizes how beautiful she is. I mean, I feel like the mum recognised that before, but now the two boys are taking notice. So yes, that is basically the plot, and the reason that I am really wanting to read this is because the second season just released on Amazon, I think it's Amazon Prime, and I haven't watched the first season yet, and because I've seen the trailer for season 2, I now very much want to read the books and read the books before I watch the adaptation, because the trailer for season 2 looked really good and now I just need to watch it, but I don't want to do that until I've read the books for obvious reasons. So yes, as I said, I'm 11% in. I'm actually really enjoying it so far. It's giving me the summer vibes that I really wanted. When I decided that I wanted to read this book this month, I was just looking for something that was light-hearted and fun, and that is exactly what I'm getting so far. It's also giving me all the summer vibes, which I really love, because if you live in the UK, you know that the weather lately, just this whole summer, has been really rubbish. It has rained constantly, and if it hasn't rained, it's just overcast, or it's chilly, or it's just really crap weather, and this summer has been the actual worst. I got a little bit of tanning in like back in June, like the beginning of June, and that was it. That was summer. So I'm very much glad that I have a holiday booked next month, because I cannot deal with this weather anymore. And what is so funny to me about this book at the minute is I don't read a lot of young adult now. I still do read it from time to time, but what I'm noticing with this book in particular that I haven't really noticed in the other ones is just kind of like the childishness of the writing style. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm not the demographic that this book is aimed at. Like, this is obviously aimed at young adults or like young teenagers, and it's so funny because there was a time in my life where I genuinely thought that I would read young adult for the rest of my life and nothing else, and I always had tried to pick up like 1 or 2 adult books, and I could never get into them, and I was like, I can't relate to this, I hate the writing, it's too detailed, it's boring, blah blah blah. And now I'm reading adult books, and like they're the best thing ever, and I'm like, oh, so relatable, like I love this, I love the writing, it's so detailed, blah blah blah. And I'm reading this young adult book and I'm like, oh, like I don't think I could have young adult as like my main genre anymore. It's not a bad thing, it's easy to read, but it's so funny just to see that kind of change in myself now. It just, yeah, it's like my brain has been rewired, and it just is so strange to me. Does anyone get what I'm saying? Like, do you feel the same way I feel? Because it's very weird. So yes, that is going to be this reading vlog. This might be done over a couple of weeks, to be honest, because I think I have 2 more books on my TBR of the month, or I think I have 1 more book. I can't remember. I think I might have 1 more book after this one. So I really want to get to that. Maybe I'll read the second book after that one, but we'll see. I just want some light-hearted fun, and we'll see what happens, and we'll also see who I ship, because obviously I have to figure out who my ship is. Okay, so I officially have my first update. Please excuse if you can hear any wind. It is like literally gale force winds out there. I think there are like storm warnings for some of the UK. It was still quite muggy earlier, but I think it's gone really chilly. Anyway, we're still in August, what the hell? Anyway, my first update is that I have officially finished The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I don't actually have a star rating from when I read it years ago, and I actually did go through my YouTube and I had in fact read it. I just completely forgot, and funnily enough, I enjoyed it then and I enjoyed it now, although I do have a few critiques that I probably have made now that I wouldn't have made back then. So let's get on with it. So surprisingly, I gave this 4 stars. I was kind of battling between giving it a 3-star and a 4-star because there were a couple of things that I didn't like so much about it, but I gave it a 4-star, not because it's the most amazing book on the planet, but with my star ratings, what I tend to do is I go more off of how I felt about the book as a whole and how it made me feel and how much I enjoyed it, rather than kind of using a star rating to critique it properly, if that makes sense. Obviously I'm not an official journalist book reviewer person, so my star rating being unprofessional doesn't really matter. Like, that's just how my star rating works, okay? It goes more off of enjoyment rather than how the book is written. So I feel like the first thing I should mention is, what team am I on? So am I team Conrad or am I team Jeremiah? Now I feel like back in the day, and when I watched my video, I didn't really mention much about the book. Like, in fact, I gave barely any thoughts, which is just so dumb, because in the video I mentioned that I was going to do a review of the book and I never did. So I can't go back and kind of compare thoughts, which would have been really fun because I never reread books. So I am firmly on team Jeremiah, and I feel like back in the day, if I had said anything, I feel like I would have been on team Conrad. If I know anything about myself from back then, I always went for like the dark, mysterious guy who kind of either seemed like they didn't want the girl or didn't want the girl, and I feel like I would have been team Conrad. However, as a now adult, I'm firmly on team Jeremiah. Jeremiah deserves better. Like, he was so sweet and he obviously did want Belly, and I just loved him. And I feel like Conrad's actions throughout the book weren't really justified. Like, I understand kind of how he must have felt with the information that he had in his brain, but I can't excuse it. He was a dick for absolutely no reason, and it was just so unnecessary. I mean, when you look at Jeremiah, Jeremiah was handling it so well, and Conrad was just doing the complete opposite. So I'm firmly team Jeremiah. Speaking of characters and kind of their actions, Belly was kind of annoying. I feel like as an adult I can now kind of like look at it and be like, ugh. The writing was kind of juvenile, which I have to expect. It's a young adult book. I'm not the main target audience, so I can kind of like overlook that. But Belly was very annoying. She did make everything about herself, which is what everyone kept saying. She was just so like me all the time. And I'm gonna excuse it on this occasion. You have to bear in mind, she's like 15 in this book. Oh, the battery's gonna die. Okay, panic over, batteries change. As I was saying, I can kind of excuse Belly's demeanour just because she is 15 in this book, which is a very, very young age. And when I think back to how I was at that age, I was super annoying. I watch my YouTube videos from back then and I'm just like, I was so annoying. No wonder I got bullied. So yeah, it is what it is. She does turn 16 in this book, but it's like right towards the end because her birthday is at the end of the summer. Now, the reason that I really enjoyed this book was just the vibes it was giving me. Obviously, as I've mentioned like quite a few times now, the weather in the UK is dreadful. Like, it just is abysmal. I can't deal with it. I'm so done. I have so much swimwear that I haven't worn this year. I will be wearing it when I go on holiday, but that's not the point. I wanted to wear it over here and have like a hot girl actual tan summer, because although I'm a pale ass bitch, I do actually tan a little bit, believe it or not. Obviously, living in the UK, I grew up with a lot of like American like media and stuff like that, and I feel like I can speak for a lot of British, you know, like I guess adults now, or like even kids. When you grow up with American media, you have this idea of what America is. And when I was growing up, I was like, oh my god, I'd love to go to like an American high school and experience like pep rallies and football games, and I'd love to like experience the 4th of July and do all of it. Like, I want to experience summer camp and all of this. And I feel like this book kind of encapsulated like a summer that I would love to spend in America as kind of like a young adult. Like, I grew up with kind of American YouTubers who I suppose were very well off, and some of the ones that I'd watch would go to like, you know, lakes or like on a boat during the summer, and I was like, oh my god, I'd love to do all that. And I feel like this book encapsulated that whole feeling, and I was thriving reading this. I read it in 2 days, guys. 2 days. I loved this so much. I also want to say this really surprised me. I cried. I kind of had an inkling as to where a certain plot development was going, because I feel like little kind of hints were being given to you here and there, and I kind of guessed what that was going to be. But I actually cried, guys. I cried. I mean, it wasn't like full-on sob and like disgusting ugly tears, but like I was shedding a few tears. Like, it actually made me a little bit like sad. And I also want to say about the writing as well, one of the things that I really loved and I felt like was done really well was the time jumping. So I get really funny with time jumping in books because it's either done really well or really badly, and in this book it was done so well. I feel like I had experienced all of these previous summers with Belly, and I really like that about it. I felt like I lived through her different ages, I felt like I lived through her different experiences, and I could honestly see why she loved summer so much. I mean, as a biased person who loves summer, I get it. I get it. But yes, I am so excited to go on to the next one. I should also say, yes, I have had the revelation that Belly isn't in fact her real name. Her name is Isabel or Isabella, one of the two, but they call her Belly because she grew up liking Jelly Bellies, is it? Anyway, and then her dad called her Belly, and then everyone else called her Belly, and it's kind of just stuck, and she's like, oh, it's such a childish name, but you know, everyone calls me it. So I have had the revelation, guys. I get it now. It's not her real name. Although, this is why I was confused, because I googled it and apparently it can be a Mal name. I just don't know the origins of that name. So it is the real name. I wasn't being stupid. Anyway, I'm excited to move on to the next one. I'm not going to start reading it yet. I have already moved on to 2 books. I'm reading one that I read in July, or started to read in July, and then the other one I've just started. So I will give a little The Summer I Turned Pretty update when I get to the next book, but hopefully I want to get to it soon because I'm just really in the mood for the next one now. I'm sorry, what? Just for reference, I've never read beyond the first book, and this first chapter has already destroyed me. Oh my god, I'm so sad now. My heart actually hurts. Here was me thinking that this is going to be such a joyous and heartfelt and happy book that's going to fill me with so much serotonin, getting ready for a holiday, and it's just hit me in the gut. Why would you start a book that way? Jenny Han, are you going to be paying for my therapy? Please excuse my ratty ass hair, okay? I just realised earlier, just before I was about to have my shower, that I hadn't updated this particular vlog. I have been filming 3 vlogs back to back, reading different books, doing different things. There's one vlog where you'll kind of see me read the same books, but like I have a goal with those books. Anyway, realised I hadn't filmed anything for it. You might see a clip after this of like my reaction to reading the first like chapter of the book, like the first page, because I just couldn't believe what was in that first page. So this is my The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy vlog, which I just completely honestly forgot that I was filming, so I apologise. I can't remember whether I said this was going to be spoiler filled or not, but I did react yesterday to like a sentence that I saw, and I didn't really mention what that sentence said. Like, I don't feel like I should, because there are some people that might not have read this series that really want to. Anyway, the update is that I have started the second book. I started the second book yesterday. I'm 42% in already. These are so quick to read, which makes them so fun because it doesn't feel like it's a chore, and the chapters are really, really short. I honestly feel like I'm going through it. I was expecting a really, you know, wholesome, happy summer read. I'm not getting that. This is so sad. The first one was like a little bit sad, but this whole book so far is just putting me in my feels, and it doesn't really match the weather and it doesn't really match the vibe right now. I am really enjoying it, but I did not expect to be in my sad girl summer era. So far this feels very different from the first book, mainly because it's not really set at Cousins Beach. Obviously the first one took place the whole time at Cousins Beach. This one is taking place more kind of around a bunch of different locations, mainly because there's been some major life changes for the characters, especially the 2 boys, and obviously Belly is going through it too. Just everyone is going through it. Everyone is so sad and mourning, and I am honestly, I didn't expect this series to make me cry. I don't know why. I feel like just there's this expectation with YA books now that I'm just not gonna have that emotional connection to them, but this book is honestly, I cried so much last night reading this, and I wasn't expecting to, but I was just so sad. Basically, I'm at a part now where Belly is kind of explaining some things that went on between her and Conrad. She's just described this, you know, perfect kind of day that they had together, and it's all kind of building up to, I guess, a fallout. We've already kind of seen a fallout between them, the 2 of them, and I'm not actually sure what's gone on between them, because it's almost like they weren't exclusive, so they weren't like a couple, but they were almost doing things that insinuated that they were a couple. So I don't know really where they're at. I'm gonna admit, I'm still team Jeremiah. I love Jeremiah. I think he's so wholesome and so precious, and he just wants what's best for Belly, and I know they've hashed out their feelings and whatever else in the first book, but I think she's chosen the wrong guy. I really do. And you know what, I get that Jeremiah and Conrad are going through stuff. There's just no need for the way that he's acting. I have heard that it is explained why he's acting the way that he is, because he kind of acted like this in the first book, and then obviously it was explained what was happening at the end, but he's reverted back all of a sudden, just I feel like because this other thing has happened. I don't know if there's something else going on, but I just don't think there's any need for it. Conrad, sort your shit out. I just wish she'd pick Jeremiah. Her life would be a lot easier, you know, she'd be a lot happier. Jeremiah would treat her the way that she should be treated. Anyway, that's where I'm at, and I will update you probably when I finish the book, which I'm kind of hoping might be tonight, but like I'm not going to put that expectation on myself because I mean, you'll see a vlog where, you know, I had expectations of myself and I didn't fulfill them. So so I have an update. Last night I finished It's Not Summer Without You, and I was a wreck the whole time reading that book. Anything that reminds me remotely of me and my friend Sophie just makes me cry. And one of the things that I love about this series is the friendship between Susanna and I can't remember Belly's mum's name, but like their friendship is everything. I love it when female friendships are shown in books. Like one of my favourite female friendships that definitely makes it into the top 3 is Danica and Bryce from the Crescent City trilogy by Sarah J Maas. Female friendships like that are just so timeless, and you know, like they're closer than anything. I love, because it reminds me of me and my friend Sophie, and honestly it's sickening. Gross. Anyway, I finished the book. I also gave it a 4 star. I feel like the only reason I'm giving these books 4 stars, they're not my favourite in the world, but I'm just vibing with them, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost gave this second one a 5 star, and the reason is because I love the fact that this book touches on you know, loss, and these characters are mourning, and both of these books now, I genuinely feel as if I have lived their lives, and I have lived through these summers, and I've lived through these experiences, and I love it. I love it. I want to go to Cousins Beach now, and it's not okay because I'm not rich enough to have a beach house. I'm not even rich enough to know anyone rich enough to have a beach house, so that's never gonna happen. But I just love them. I love these books. I'm vibing with them. I mean, to be fair, the second one was not a vibe. Crying in this heat is not okay. I should be happy. I should be thinking about summer thoughts, and instead I'm crying. One thing I will say, okay, at the end of book 2, where am I? Am I team Jeremiah? Am I team Conrad? Once again, team Jeremiah. I do understand why Conrad was acting the way that he was, and that's how I felt at the end of the first book as well. Like, I understood why he was acting the way that he was, but at the same time he's so horrible to Belly for no reason. He's just nasty, and if someone treated me the way that he treated her, I would cut them off. I know they have history together, but like, not okay, my guy. So then I suppose I should update you. I'm now 20% into the last and final book, and it feels very different. Obviously now we're dealing with Belly as she is in her freshman year of college. Minor spoilers, Belly and Jeremiah are now a thing. I've just gotten up to a part where they are now not a thing anymore because of a reason, and I'm not okay with it. This book feels very different. I don't think because of the setting, but Jeremiah, I almost feel like the plot that he has in this book is, I feel like the way that he's acting is just for the sake of, I reckon Belly's going to end up with Conrad. I reckon that's where it's going. At the beginning of the series, it is hinted that it was always her and Conrad. It was always going to be her and Conrad. So if her and Conrad don't end up together, I would be very, very surprised. The plot that's just happened between Jeremiah and Belly has only happened for the sake of her ending up with Conrad. I don't want to say they fixed things. Jeremiah has offered her something and she's agreed. I don't agree with it. I think it's just a convenience thing for him to be like, I'm gonna fix this and here's the way I'm gonna fix it, and you should never agree. If a guy did that and then he offers that and you go, yeah, no, never settle. Never, ever, ever settle. If, you know what, if I'm watching this back one day and miraculously someone actually wants to date me and I end up settling like that, what the fuck are you doing? yeah, I'm not okay with the plot so far. I just feel like Jeremiah's character's just been thrown out the window or thrown under the bus, all for the sake of her ending up with Conrad at the end. Like, I feel that is gonna, inevitably, that is what is gonna happen. I'm calling it now, and if I'm wrong, then so help me, I'm wrong, but that's how it's gonna go. That's the way I can see it going. Anyway, that's my update. I'll probably give you guys an update either when I'm further in and maybe I want to have a rant, or when I'm finished. So we'll see. But I'm definitely finishing this before I go on holiday, so that's the main thing. Okay, so I have an update. Please excuse the way that I look right now. I've just gotten out of the shower. Honestly, I had a shower. I got out the shower feeling clean. I now all of a sudden feel hot and sweaty again. This is not okay. So I have an update. I am now over halfway through We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, which is obviously the last book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I'm gonna admit, guys, I haven't liked the direction that it's gone in, and I'm not going to spoil it because I've kind of tried to keep this vlog very spoiler free and I feel like I have, so I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I just don't like this book. It doesn't have the same vibe as the other two did. Like, the other two, even though the last one was quite upsetting and it was really sad, like, I felt like it still had that reminiscent kind of like summer feel to it, because some of the book actually did take place at Cousins Beach, and this one has also gone back to Cousins Beach, but it just doesn't feel the same. And what's funny to me is that, especially in the first book, all the guys loved to say that Belly was immature, which is hilarious to me because yes, she was in a way, but like, she was a kid, so you can kind of let her off for that one. Particularly her and Jeremiah are being so immature. I just don't understand. I don't get it, and I hate it, and my hope is that the TV adaptation is going to feel different to what this book feels, because I don't like it so far. I hate it. I hate it. The last two books were 4 stars, and this one I can already tell is not going to be a 4 star. I almost kind of want to give it a 2, which is really harsh. I just feel like the whole plot of this one is just so ridiculous. Jeremiah and Belly have basically decided on something, and I'm not going to say what that something is. They've decided to do something and nobody else is agreeing with them, but they're doing something anyway. It's just, the whole thing is so childish. Oh, I can't say anything without spoiling it. But like, if I was their age and my life was the way that their life is, I definitely wouldn't be making the decisions that they're making. Like, it just makes no sense. Financially, just life-wise, it doesn't make sense. Like, oh my god, I can't deal with it right now. Anyway, I have 70 pages left, so my hope is that I'm going to finish it this evening, and then tomorrow morning I will give you guys my thoughts, because I'll probably have a bit more to say then. Sorry, the video cut out because I'd run out of space on my SD card. What I was saying was, I do feel like I know how this is going to end. She's going to end up with Conrad. I can feel it. You know what I feel like? I feel like it's almost as if Jeremiah's character and Conrad have like switched places, and all of a sudden Conrad is like the kind of rational thinking one. He's the more mature one, he's, you know, making the right decisions. And Jeremiah has almost acted how Conrad acted in the first 2 books. And I hate it because it's almost as if he's gone against his whole character that was built within the last 2 books. And it doesn't make sense to me, and I hate it. And yeah, like, I don't care who she ends up with, but like, it just feels really off. And I don't like this book. Anyway, I'll update you guys tomorrow once, hopefully, I finished. Hey everyone, so this is officially the last clip for this reading vlog, because in the early hours of this morning I actually managed to finish We Will Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, which is the last book in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. As a whole, I really love the trilogy. It was so fun. It was just so, I don't want to say innocent, I don't feel like that's the right word to use. It just felt very kind of like youthful, and I quite like that about it, because I'm so used to reading adult romances now, and obviously with adult romances comes smut and all of that, and sometimes I just want something that doesn't have any of that at all. So I really enjoyed that about it. It was just such a quick, easy trilogy to read, and I'm so glad that I managed to read it at this point in the year, because obviously it's still kind of summer. We're still having like the summer weather at the minute. Now, my feelings on the last book, I didn't enjoy it as much. I actually ended up rating it 3 stars. Obviously the last 2 books I rated 4 stars. The reason I gave it 3 stars is I just didn't enjoy the vibe as a whole in the last book. It just felt very off compared to the last 2 books. What I loved about the first book in particular was it did take place at the summer house and it felt summery, and the second book, although it didn't take place mostly at the summer house, like it just still had that vibe to it where it was still like, you know, everyone's reminiscing about summer and they're looking back on memories, whereas this book just, oh, I just hated it. I hated it. I hate the direction it took. I felt like Jeremiah's character was almost thrown off of a cliff just for the sake of furthering the plot with Belly and Conrad. And honestly, although Belly and the rest of the characters were, especially Belly, was slightly immature in the first 2 books. I mean, it comes with age. I honestly felt like the decisions the characters were making in this last book were even more immature than when they were like 15. So I didn't enjoy it. I did really like the ending, which is why I gave it a 3 star in the first place, but it almost felt like Jeremiah and Conrad switched places as characters, which felt really off to me. But what I liked about the ending was I loved kind of the reminiscence of it all, because basically there are some letters that Belly opens and they were just so sweet, especially the one that was like a couple of years later that she opens. I cried. Obviously I cried. So overall, the last book was okay, but honestly, if things had just been left where the second book ended, I think I would have been okay. I just really didn't like the way this last book played out and I didn't enjoy it, and honestly I was having to look ahead to see where the chapters would end because I wasn't enjoying it that much. I do have to say one of my favourite things about this series overall was the friendship between Belly's mum and her best friend Susanna. I love any book that manages to include a really close-knit female friendship because I feel like it's something that we don't see often. Mainly books tend to focus on relationships between, you know, a man and a woman and all of that stuff. Like, it's always something romantic. So it was really nice to see a close-knit friendship that had absolutely nothing to do with romance at all, and it's something that I can very much relate to, so seeing that always just makes me so happy. I do have to say that I've left this series feeling very kind of like empty and kind of like almost like sad, because I will miss the characters and I really will miss the setting. Like, I love the whole beach house setting. If you guys have any recommendations for books that kind of feel almost like this, then please let me know. I've come away from this series definitely realising that I will be reading on with Jenny Han's other books. I know I've heard really good things about her, like To All the Boys That I Loved Before books, and I also want to watch that adaptation. I'm definitely going to be reading more Jenny Han. I just really enjoyed her like easy writing style. I love that these were so fast paced, so I'm really looking forward to picking up some more of her books in the future. But that was my little Summer I Turn Pretty reading vlog. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed filming this despite the fact that it was a little bit chaotic for me. But if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and until the next video I will see you then. So bye guys.